It had rained heavily that afternoon in Kemang, Jakarta. The sky, once bright with the sun of early November, had turned sullen and gray. In a modest home tucked between narrow alleyways and tall townhouses, Sari sat in silence. Her husband, Bimo, had passed away just 3 days ago. The scent of incense still lingered in the living room, mixing with the soft cries of condolences from neighbors now gone. Their 10-year-old son, Rafi, slept upstairs, exhausted after the burial. But Sari could not sleep. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through Bimo's phone, not from suspicion, but from longing. She wanted to hear his voice one more time. The phone was nearly out of battery when she noticed something odd. A voicemail, time-stamped just a week before Bimo's sudden death. Her thumb hovered over the play button. For a moment, she hesitated. What if it revealed something she did not want to know? Yet the need to hear him again was stronger. She pressed play. The voice was Bimo's. But it was not the tone she remembered. It was low, panicked, as though he was speaking in a hurry, or perhaps under pressure.
Sorry.
If you're hearing this, I may already be gone. There's something I never told you. I wanted to, but I couldn't risk it. There was a pause. A faint shuffling noise in the background. Then a whisper. I think someone is following me. The message ended abruptly. Sari stared at the screen. Her pulse quickened. There was no second message. No context. No clues. What had Bimo meant?
Who was following him?
And why had he kept this from her? She checked the call log. The message had come from his own number. No outgoing calls afterwards. No further recording. Just silence. A part of her wanted to dismiss it as paranoia. Another part knew Bimo too well. He was calm, collected, never dramatic. If he had said he was afraid, he meant it. Sari sat back on the sofa, heart pounding. The house now felt colder. The air still. What secrets had Bimo taken with him to the grave? And more importantly, was she and Rafi safe? The following morning, Sari walked Rafi to school. Her mind, however, remained tangled in the message. At a traffic light on Jalan Bangka, her eyes caught a figure across the street. A man, tall, wearing a gray jacket, standing unusually still. His face was hidden by a cap. He wasn't watching the traffic, he was watching her. She glanced away. Seconds later, she dared to look again. He was gone. That evening, Sari tried calling Bimo's closest colleague, Andre, from the architecture firm in Kuningan. The man sounded distant on the phone, refusing to meet in person. I don't know anything, Sari. Please, just let Bimo rest. He hung up. Something was very wrong. That night, after Rafi had gone to bed, she unlocked Bimo's laptop. He had never hidden anything from her until now. The desktop was nearly empty. One folder caught her attention. It was named simply Bentera. Inside, dozens of scanned documents, maps, letters in Dutch, and one photograph. A building, colonial era, boarded up, abandoned, its name barely visible, Bentera Institute. Below the photo was a single typed line. What they did to us cannot be buried forever. Sari brought the photo to an old friend, Pak Wabowo, a retired historian from Menteng. His brow furrowed as he examined it. This place, it was a Dutch research facility. Shut down after independence. Rumors of illegal medical trials. Never proven. Most people avoid talking about it. Do you know where it is? Sari asked. He nodded. North Jakarta. Near the old harbor. But it's dangerous. The area is watched. Sari didn't care. That weekend, she arranged for Rafi to stay with her sister. She drove alone, her hands sweaty on the steering wheel, following GPS coordinates pulled from one of Bimo's maps. The road led her to a forgotten warehouse district. Stray dogs wandered the edges. A thick stillness hung in the air. She found it. The Bentera building stood like a relic of another time. Blackened windows. Ivy crawling up the stone walls. She stepped out of the car. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Not hers.
She froze.
The footsteps stopped too. She turned, but saw no one. Heart racing, She reached for the camera on her phone and began filming. The footage might be useful later. Pushing open the warped wooden doors, she stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with mold and dust. Inside the building, peeling wallpaper and collapsed beams hinted at decades of abandonment. Yet something was off. The floor near the back wall had clean shoe prints. Someone had been here recently. Behind a crooked bookshelf, she discovered a narrow staircase leading underground. At the bottom, a door with heavy locks. One hung open. She pushed through. What she found made her stomach turn. Old hospital beds. Rusted. Chains still attached. Cabinets filled with yellowed files, all stamped with the same logo. Bentera Institute. But what chilled her most was the folder marked Subject B17, Bimo Saputra. She opened it. Inside were medical charts, psychological assessments, and a birth certificate. Not Bimo's. Rafi's. Sari's hands shook as she turned the pages. The documents revealed something she could barely comprehend. Rafi was born as part of a genetic trial. One of several children whose parents had been secretly selected, or perhaps manipulated, into a long-abandoned research program during their university years. Bimo had never told her. And then she saw it, a familiar signature on the forms.
Andre.
She took photos of everything and fled the building, the sun beginning to set over the northern docks. Back in the car, she locked the doors and tried calling Andre again. No answer. That night, back in Kameng, her front gate creaked. She peered through the curtain. The man in the gray jacket was standing there.
Still.
Watching. He held something in his hand. A flash drive. He placed it gently on the doorstep and walked away. Sari waited 15 minutes before stepping outside. The street was empty. The drive was still warm in her hand. Inside the house, she connected it to her laptop. A single video file loaded. The thumbnail showed Bimo, seated, pale, eyes sunken. He began speaking. If you're watching this, Sari, then it means they've gotten to me. I didn't want you or Rafi involved, but I was wrong to keep this from you. He paused, visibly struggling to continue. Rafi is special. His DNA matches something they've been looking for since before the war. Bentera never shut down, they simply went underground. They used me. And now they'll come for him. The video glitched, then resumed. I've hidden the master file. If they get it, they'll never stop. Find the key, it's where we first met. Under the banyan tree. The screen went black. Sari exhaled shakily. The banyan tree. Taman Surapati. At dawn, Sari drove to Taman Surapati. The banyan tree still stood tall, roots curling over the ground like ancient fingers. She remembered the spot where Bimo had first confessed his love. There, nestled beneath a rock, she found a small metal box. Inside, a USB drive and a note. They will lie. Even Andre. Trust no one but the boy. Back home, she opened the drive. It contained a folder of surveillance files, names, dates, experiments. Bentera had continued its work, hiding behind foundations and clinics. One name stood out. Dr. Hendra Presidio. She searched it online. He was the new director of a charity for children's mental health, based in Jakarta. And his office was only a few kilometers away. She knew what she had to do. But first, she had to confront the last person who might still be on her side, or her enemy.
Andre.
Sari met Andre at a cafe in Tevez. He looked older, gaunter, and far more nervous than she remembered. You found it, didn't you? He said, without preamble. I found everything, Sari replied, her voice cold. Andre sighed, rubbing his face. They forced me, Sari. Years ago. I was in debt. They threatened my sister. So you handed over your best friend. He lowered his gaze. I didn't know they'd kill him. You signed off on my son. Andre looked up, eyes wide. I warned Bimo. He said he had a plan. He said you'd figure it out. Sari reached into her bag and pulled out the drive. This is the only copy left. I'm going to the press. Andre stood suddenly. You can't. They're everywhere. A single sentence changed everything. They're watching Rafi now. Sari raced home. The gate was open. The lights were on. Inside, the house had been ransacked. But Rafi was safe, hiding beneath the kitchen sink, clutching his toy giraffe. "Mama," he whispered. There were two men.
They didn't see me.
She hugged him tight. No more time. She packed quickly, grabbed the hard drive, and left the house under the cover of night. They drove out of Jakarta, heading south, changing cars twice. Sari used an old contact to arrange new identities. They would not be found. Not yet. But the secret inside that drive and the truth about Rafi could not remain hidden forever. Months later, in a quiet town near Yogyakarta, Sari watched Rafi play in the school courtyard. The sky was bright. For the first time in years, she felt something close to peace. But her phone buzzed. A message. "You cannot hide forever. The Institute sees." Attached was a photo. Rafi. Taken that very morning. The Bentara Institute was no longer a crumbling relic. It was back.
Bigger. Smarter.
And this time it would not stop. Sari closed her phone. She would protect her son. At all costs.